I've been off on my travels again for the Gadget show. Where? Well, I'm hoping the big trucks, the yellow traffic lights and this flag may act as some sort of subtle clue. Welcome to small town America, a place called Morrisville in North Carolina. You've never heard of it. I've never heard of it. In fact, some of the people that live here have never heard of it. But it's home to a computer games design company on the bleeding edge of computer gaming. Welcome to the headquarters of Red Storm Entertainment. Red Storm is one of the world's most highly respected games design companies. It was created in 1996 by best-selling techno-thriller writer Tom Clancy to produce spin-off games from his books, exploiting titles such as Rainbow Six and Splinter Cell. The company is now owned by French games computer giant Ubisoft, but the games still bear Clancy's name and seem to have cornered the market in strategy-based, high-tech shoot-'em-ups. But for computer games designers like those at Red Storm, this little machine has changed everything. The awesome power of the Xbox 360 has rewritten the book on computer games design. So we're here to find out exactly what goes into the designing of a next-generation title. And that title is the latest in the Ghost Recon series, Advanced Warfighter, which was still in the final stages of development when I visited Red Storm. Now, the first thing to realise about next-generation games is that they take an awful lot more of everything to make. More time, more money, more people. The last version of Ghost Recon had about 50 people working on it. This new version has a team of around 300 who've been working on it for 2.5 years. As you can imagine, the budget is huge. They won't let us tell you the exact figure, but we're talking Hollywood money. So, when you've invested so much in just one product, how do you make sure that you don't end up with a flop? Well, you make sure you get every single detail right. And I mean every single detail. The game is set in Mexico City, and extensive recce's were undertaken to make sure that the Mexico City in the game is as close to the real thing as possible.
We decided to do a sort of like a recon mission, and we went to Mexico. A couple of the level designers.
Were you fully geared up?
Well, we weren't fully geared up. No, we were incognito. Oh. So basically, we went down. We had our camera, we had our photo apparatus, as we like to call it, and we went down and we started taking pictures of all the locations, key locations, and then we convert that into the game and the models of the buildings, etc., and the textures, and we reproduce it identically.
Firstly, a map is drawn of the gameplay area, and the recce photos are converted into artwork in the style of the game. Then the long drawn-out process of combining the two begins. Firstly, building a wireframe map of the area using polygons, the basic building blocks of any 3D computer game. Then slowly adding more and more detail until you end up with what is almost a photorealistic environment. And because of the huge processing power of the 360, the game's designers can do more than ever before to make the atmosphere as realistic as possible.
We use multi-core technology. Now it's got 3 processors, so we're able to really push things much further. Before, it was very much a trade-off between, you could do a lot of the things that you can see, but then you'd have to lose a feature and you'd have to exchange things. Now we can still do everything. Well, not everything, there's still a few things we can't do. But in terms of sort of lighting effects, it's actually takes place over 3 days. So what happens is that as you play your game, as you're playing through, the light's changing gently, and therefore you're going from dusk to nighttime to morning, etc., etc. It's also playing with the shadows. You've got 100% real-time soft shadows, and it's just that little detail visually and that quality, especially when you're looking on an HD TV.
Of course, once you've created the environment, you've still got to build the characters to run around and shoot things. And the level of attention that goes into the soldiers for this game is quite extraordinary. Each single character is made up of 14,000 polygons, about the same number that made up an entire level on a PS1 game. And endless hours of motion capture have gone into making the movements of the characters as realistic as possible. But it doesn't stop there. When you've got the complicated job of trying to make a soldier in a game, which at the end of the day is going to be next generation and high resolution, so there's going to be a lot of detail there, It's very difficult to know where to start, and one of the ways that Red Storm tackle the problem is to get actual guys in real, state-of-the-art, and in this case, futuristic battle gear into a natural environment. They look at how the light falls on their faces, how it glints off their visors, what positions they adopt, the kind of dynamic stances that real soldiers with real weaponry adopt, so that the final result is as realistic as possible. And the combat suit worn by soldiers in Ghost Recon isn't just something created by a bunch of geeky fantasists. It exists in the real world. It's actually the result of a project to create a technology-based combat suit that will, in the future, be used by real American soldiers. And this is me, not a real American soldier, wearing it. I've got some water, have you? I'm knackered. The real-life suit has an online computer hidden in the back of the body armour, through which video, audio and data can be constantly relayed to the wearer from a control centre. Built into the helmet are discrete microphones, which pick up the soldier's voice through vibrations in his skull. Noise reduction headphones, which are capable of filtering loud bangs while amplifying distant twig cracks. And a head-up display which drops down in front of the soldier's eyes to deliver real-time battle information. This next-generation combat suit is still in development and at the moment is far too expensive to start issuing to thousands of troops, but it's already up and running in the world of next-generation computer games.
Tango.
After 2.5 years of recce's, running around in soldier outfits, shooting guns, and long hours spent in front of computer screens, you end up with a truly awesome-looking next-generation game. That is, apart from the fact that it's probably still full of glitches and problems. And that's where this lot come in. They are the massed ranks of Red Storm's games testers. People actually paid to spend every minute of every day playing computer games. To many of you, it might sound like heaven, but what they actually do is play one tiny part of a level over and over again for days on end, in every way that you can possibly think of to make sure it's all working perfectly. Here they're checking that the game can cope with multiple characters, all descending on one area at the same time. Only after everything has been checked to death is the game deemed ready to play. And finally, you end up with this, an exquisite next-generation computer game.
Oh my word! We're flying!
I'll show you how to get all your software for nothing. We visit Bang & Olufsen's Danish torture chamber.